October 2025, Jordan Peterson health update on Mikhaila Peterson and Jordan B. Peterson's YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, recently there has been news. Jordan Peterson is not in the best of health, and so I want to say up front as we react to this video, I will not be mocking someone's health situation. The golden rule should be that which we are looking at this from. I'm more curious about what has been going viral that people are recommending about this video pertaining to spirits and demons. So let's see what Michaela has to say. And of course, I'm going to be careful about his health condition because, look, I'm a recovering addict and I know he was as well. I think he was on benzos or something, benzodiazepines. And I know many friends who've suffered with addiction, trying to get off of that mental health stuff. But I'm more curious about the faith aspects, the superstitious stuff that might come into this. So let's see what happens. Subscribe, check that bell so you're notified. Join the community down below. Like it. Let's see what happens.
Hey guys, I have an update on my dad. I'm actually just going to read this. It's on my teleprompter because this is too hard to explain off the cuff, so I wrote it out. This summer has been exceedingly difficult. Dad was in an ICU suffering from pneumonia and sepsis after dealing with a host.
Okay, I didn't realize pneumonia and sepsis. Sepsis is deadly. I mean, pneumonia is too, but the combination is not good. So I hope he makes a speedy recovery.
Of neurological issues this summer that we believe stem from CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to decades of mold exposure. We don't have a better explanation for his neurological symptoms at the moment other than spiritual attacks.
See, this is why I think you were recommending me to react to this, is the spiritual attacks. Now, why would someone want to bring in the spiritual here? Why would one think there's an attack by an agent of some sort beyond what seems to be the obvious? Mold, CIRS, pneumonia, whatever else it may be.
He's been suffering for the last number of years with unexplainable neuropathy and weakness, amongst other symptoms. But they worsened this summer after he cleaned out his parents' basement after his dad, my grandpa, passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear about that.
We weren't able to communicate with Dad really all of September. During the end of the pneumonia, he was diagnosed with critical illness polyneuropathy, which we're hoping is critical illness myopathy, which is bad enough. That's been hard.
I don't know enough about it. Over my head.
Heartbreaking and brutal on top of everything else. But after almost a month in the ICU, he's been moved out to a less urgent floor. Praise God for that. We're still in the midst of this, but now
I would just because we're approaching this from a spiritual / skeptical kind of angle, praise God for that. I understand the natural goal toward praising God for something like this, and especially when you believe in God. But, all too often when we hear people say, thank God the child lived, what about the doctors who did the actual deed? They get completely ignored. You want to think something above is watching and helping out along the way? Go for it. Most humans do. But when you say thank God and you don't really give the credit and recognition at the time to the people who spent most of their lives dedicated to learning the skill on how to operate on people like your dad, that it's just unfortunate. And it's, in a sense, can be seen disrespectful when we only want to thank God and we don't recognize the human hands in action,
Now we're seeing improvements daily. The timeline for his full recovery is hard to tell at the moment, and I'll update everyone when we have more information. My family's asking for prayers. Like I said, this summer's been exceedingly difficult and terrifying. Dad's condition is complicated by the fact he can't take most medications without suffering from severe paradoxical reactions, which limits treatment options.
So he seems like he's having some kind of reaction to all the medication. Whenever they give him one, opposite problem happens. Something is reacting to each medication. Dang, that's difficult.
Like I mentioned, I believe there's a spiritual element at play here.
So she believes something else is going on.
I think a lot of people have felt it in the last few weeks and months. It's been hitting my dad and my family hard this summer. In August, the day Dad was brought to a hospital by ambulance, my newborn Audrey was also brought to a hospital by ambulance within hours of each other.
So correlation, and easily you can see why someone might connect dots. It's very personal too. So you have to feel like when you're out of control of things like this, that something greater is going on, you know? But there's more to it, and if she covers some of the things I think she might, or at least hints at, we'll go through some of these things together to understand what science says about this situation.
It was unbelievable.
And my condolences. I'm very sorry that all this is happening.
This was the second time this summer we had brought Audrey to the hospital after she almost died from near heart failure at 6 weeks old. Ooh. That is exceedingly rare, and they couldn't find a cause for. She was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary hypertension, which seems to have resolved, praise God. But it's...
So my kids have had lots of medical conditions as well. And, you know, I used to thank God too, repeating the same mantra.
It's not something that happens. You know, this was late July after Dad and I recorded some episodes of the call-in show together. Everything went just really downhill fast after that.
That's kind of life. I mean, Job, right? Clearly God's at play here, but like shit happens and they're having to explain why shit happens. And so it's like, why did this happen to Job? And so they put you into this fictional character kind of omniscient view where you see God and Satan and Job and his family and all the chaos happening in their life. And you go, why is this happening? Now, of course, the Bible gives you their clue that, well, God sent Satan to test you to do these things. But in reality, it's really answering the question of why good things or bad things happen to good people and good things often happen to bad. And why does life work so chaotic and random at times? And this seems to be what's happening here.
Every single day this summer and now fall has been like watching a movie. Our family's relying heavily on the Lord through this and seeing miracles around us. We are. And
I'd like to hear or see, what is the miracle?
I'm also aware that God uses everything for good. So eventually we'll see why this is happening or what comes of it. But Mom and I in particular really wanted to reach out and ask for prayers to help everyone get through this, especially for my dad and for my mom, but also for the nurses and doctors taking care of him, my brother, and family and friends who have come to support us. I miss my dad. My brother misses his dad.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm sincerely sorry about that.
My mom misses her best friend and husband.
Yeah. It's deep. It's very personal. Very sorry.
Oh, man. I thought I wasn't going to cry during this.
Let it out. It's mommy and daddy, you know? I do feel very, very bad about this. And because this was recommended, I told people I would react to specifically the aspect of faith. I don't like to make light of these situations because this is real. And I could go any day too. You know, I'd want the same empathy in return. You could see why religion, life after death, faith, belief, all of that stuff touches these emotions. And we've evolved to have them work within these relationships, these bonds that we've developed as humans. And they do really well connecting to these kinds of things so often, you know? I mean, I can't say I wouldn't want to pray if my mom or dad was going through something or wish there was something there, you know?
Well, he's hopefully recovering. And like I said, I'll keep people updated. He has a team of people, including myself, continuing his mission, including Peterson Academy, and will be releasing his We Who Wrestle with God tour to everyone on YouTube, which he's wanted to do for a long time. And given we think there's a spiritual element at play here, We believe the right way to fight back is to keep going and push harder, if anything. Life isn't necessarily supposed to get easier when you're doing the right thing. And I can see God's hand throughout this, but it's a lot to handle. My family agreed or wanted to delay updating everybody because a lot has happened over the last few months, and we were hoping he would recover faster and we would see bigger improvements sooner and have better news. And it was really a near-death experience for a long time. So we've been just dealing with this one day at a time. We still are. It's been overwhelming, but it looks like, and we're praying that things are headed in the right direction. He's out of the ICU. So that's the main thing. He's out of the ICU.
That's good.
Like I said, praise God for that. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you to everybody who's reached out. I'll be back on YouTube maybe in the next month or so, depending on how things go. Yeah, that's the update. Thanks, guys.
Wow, I did not realize, he was going through all of that, and that they have been dealing with that for a very long time. Holy freaking smokes. There's a lot here. So I just want to give you a few examples of some stuff, and I knew some of these things, but I was like, hold on. If someone thinks that demons, devils, whatever, might be attacking them, what is the scientific terminology and explanation for why humans think when illnesses or problems happen in life that there's always entities or some spiritual, whatever you want to call them, beings that are at work in your life that are trying to take you out or take someone out? Because if you're like me and you don't think they're real, which I don't believe they are, why did humans, since before writing, attribute spirits and things as if they are actively working agents doing these things? And so I asked ChatGPT just to give me a list of some of the scientific explanations. And ChatGPT is getting better over time. One thing you should never do is use ChatGPT to find primary sources and to guarantee those sources. So if you do use it as a tool to find sources, keep in mind it does not have many sources. Number two, it makes up sources. So you have to fact check those sources. But when it comes to basic scientific explanations for spiritual things, it's spot on. And I've read these elsewhere. So let me take the time to show you ChatGPT on my end. And here we are. So, cognitive dissonance or cognitive science behind demonic attacks. So humans evolved a hyperactivity agency detection system, right? HADD, the instinct to assume an agent, a person, spirit, or being is behind unexplained events. Example, hearing a rustle in the dark. We've heard this all the time. It's safer, evolutionary, to assume a predator than it's just the wind. This same reflex applies to disease. When people don't understand germs or neurological disorders, the brain assumes an intentional agent is behind it like a demon. Intuitive dualism. People naturally separate mind and spirit from body. A cognitive bias called intuitive dualism. When the body fails through illness, paralysis, or seizures, people assume an immaterial agent has taken control. Theory of mind overreach. When humans are wired to infer intentions behind others' actions, a skill called theory of mind, when something feels personal, pain, voices, panic, this mechanism overreaches and attributes intentional malice to unseen entities. Psychological and social explanations, need for control and meaning. So, unexplained suffering creates existential anxiety. Believing a demon caused illness restores a sense of meaning and control. If something spiritual caused it, then prayer or exorcism might cure it. So there's a sense in which she's lost control of her child getting sick, her dad getting sick. I get it. If we can, in our worldview, if we can make it make sense by saying we think it's this cause, then maybe if we think of this is the solution, we can live in our minds at least thinking we have some control over the situation, and that would not, the psychological need would be fulfilled even if there's an entity at play. It's kind of like, if I were using probably a bad analogy, but it's one, when you hear about murderers, serial killers, or whatever, and they end up killing someone, and they finally get caught, and the parents, the mother, the father, whoever, they just want to know where they are. They want to bury their body. They want to close this chapter to feel like there's a sense of control, like they have somehow solved in their mind what happened and where they are, and that they're resting in peace now, buried or whatever. I feel like that plays some role. Like, that's probably not the best example, but it's something to do with it. Social and cultural reinforcements of cultures that strongly divide the world into good versus evil reinforce demonology as a moral framework. Illness or misfortune can become moralized, seen as punishment, sin, or spiritual weakness. So you kind of have to imagine, even with her father, who's taught her all the time, he doesn't even like Sam Harris using things like goodness, like well-being, and then not well-being. No, you mean hell and heaven. You mean good and evil, you black and white. And he likes to do that until you ask him, do you believe this? And he goes, what do you mean by do? And do you mean believe? Not to mock him right now in light of him being sick. That's not my point. But everyone knows Jordan Peterson does that. And so you kind of wonder if his daughters picked up that on top of our very divided, socially, politically, religiously United States of America right now. There's a lot of conflict here. So there could be that at play too. Neurological misinterpretations. Some neurological or psychiatric symptoms, epilepsy, sleep paralysis, schizophrenia, historically looked supernatural. Science now recognizes these as brain phase phenomena, but the experience of feeling attacked or possessed can be neurologically real to the sufferer. Evolutionary and cultural function. So belief in demonic causation of illness likely evolved as a cultural adaptation. It preserved social cohesion by defining moral boundaries. It motivated ritual healing behaviors that reduced anxiety and fostered group solidarity. It served as proto-medicine before germ theory. Rituals provided structure when knowledge was limited. And you could see why that worked. So, I just want to say, my condolences. I hope he makes a speedy recovery. Who knows? One day I would love to sit there and engage with Jordan Peterson, talk mythology, talk about meaning, but also give him my personal opinion about things. Either way, whether that ever happens or not, I do wish them well. I wanted to give you an understanding why someone like his daughter would go out and say spiritual entities, demons, whatever, there's an attack, from a scientific angle, because that's what we love to do here. I hope you've enjoyed this. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Did I miss something that should have explained it better? What are your thoughts about what she said? And I do feel really, really bad for anyone who's in this situation. And thank you for recommending this video to review, react to. I sincerely appreciate that. Consider subscribing. 90 to 92% of you have not subscribed and you've watched the channel. So please take the time to check the bell and hit all. So every time we do a reaction, you're notified. Like this video, please do, and comment. YouTube is literally watching like the spirits and demons around us. And when you actually interact, they reward channels that have that kind of engagement. So please consider doing that. Until next time, see you then.